Hey beautiful beaders, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today I have the November 2019 dollar bead box and bag add-on to share with you guys. Let's go ahead and get into this box. This is one I've been unboxing for quite some time, so most of you know the drill. We have our dollar bead bag on the top. Like I said, this is an $8 a month add-on, and you get 4 strands of 3mm and 4 strands of 4mm fire polished beads. We'll go ahead and get into this one, and then we'll get into the contents of the box. Let's look at all of these close up and go down the list. Here it is in case you want to refer back to it for any reason. And we are going to start out with the 3mm, and we're going to look at the dark cyan. And here's a close-up look at what that color looks like. Beautiful teal that I find myself drawn to, and I think we recently got the 4mm size in the same color. The next one we're going to look at is called Pearlized White. You can see the beautiful sheen that's on this white. It's not a flat white, just a glossy or a matte. There is a subtle luster to it that makes it look kind of like a strand of pearls. I'd love to have more of these, and also some in the 4mm. So by the way, for those of you who are new to the dollar bead box and bag, that's the nice thing about this subscription is you can go back on their website and order more of these strands for just $1 each. Here is the next 3mm size. This is called Metallic Mardi Gras Green, and boy is it metallic. It kind of has a silverish look to it when I move it around under the light, like a greenish silver. Extremely shiny, very pretty color. And last for our 3mm strands, we have this one called Vintage Rose Gold Luster. So kind of a brownish color. Definitely has that beautiful luster on it. You can see all the flashes of gold as I move it around. And they're beautiful up close. They're so tiny so you wouldn't really notice unless you were looking that closely. But you can see the hint of that rose gold color that's kind of dappled on the facets of the bead. Next up for our 4mm strands, the first one we have is absolutely stunning. Another one I wouldn't mind having multiple strands of. This is the Matte Royal Purple. It is a metallic, and I love that shade of purple in the fire polish because we get a lot of the amethyst color, it seems, which is more of a brownish purple, but this is more vibrant and more of a plum or a royal purple like it says. Then next up we have this great matte medium copper metallic strand. These metallics are always a favorite of mine, and I like getting them in these neutral tones that will go well with a lot of different projects. And then next up we have this classic emerald green, very glossy, typical fire polish shine on that. And lastly, this bright red matte cyan. You can see the more frosted finish, not as glossy as that green one that we just saw. I love mixing the different finishes together in projects. So that was all 8 strands for our dollar bead bag add-on for the month of November. Another beautiful collection of strands to really bulk up your stash of those. Those are such a versatile bead that can be used in many, many different projects. So next, of course, we'll get into the main event, and that is our dollar bead box. And of course, we have a little letter on the front, and then a very handy organized list of all the contents that are on the back. So we're going to go through some strands, and then we're going to go through some bags of additional items. And like I've said before about this subscription, this is more of a sampler. You do get some great strands of glass and sometimes the rare gemstone beads, but then they also send you a sampler of all different things to kind of give you an idea of what they have on their site that you can go back and order for $1 each plus shipping. So leaving this here for just a second in case you need to refer back to it. Now let's get into the contents of our box. So here's a sneak peek, and we'll look at everything up close one by one. Since I didn't mention it before, this box starts at $18.50 a month. Depending on how long you sign up, it's cheaper if you sign up for a longer term, and you also get free shipping if you sign up for a longer term. Also, I will leave the link down below the video in case you want to go and check out their site and see what options they have subscription-wise. So getting into our strands to start out, the first one that's on our list is this one here. I'm always excited to get some 2-hole beads from the dollar bead box. This is a strand of 6mm Czech glass 2-hole squares, and you could either get beige opal or matte beige opal. And mine don't appear to be matte, so I'm guessing it's just the beige opal. They are a very light kind of bone color, and you can see how these have the 2 holes running parallel through those little squares. These are great for bead weaving, and I've done a couple past tutorials using these basic 2-hole tile beads. Next up, something I love, of course, are some Czech glass leaves. These are either going to be in green opal with travertine or with silver wash. So it looks like I got the travertine, as you can see, the brownish wash that is going into the grooves of the etchings on the details in these leaves, and you get quite a few on this strand. These are one of those items that I'm always happy to see on their site, because then you can get a whole strand of something like this for $1. And these Czech glass shapes in particular, and also the 2-hole beads that we just saw, that's when it's an especially good deal to me. Then we have a strand of 5mm Czech fire polish beads. These are in the color white opal with antique gold finish. So these look pretty similar to the 3mm strand we saw in the dollar bead bag, those vintage rose gold luster fire polish bead. I love how it brings out the facets. These are so sparkly, lots of that beautiful gold flashing when you move these under the light, and nice to get an additional size in addition to the 3 and 4 that we get a lot in the dollar bead bag. Next up is another fun little strand. These are 4x6mm Czech glass drop beads in gold acid wash. So there's actually some different tones of gold on these little drop beads. They're not just one flat color. On some portions of the beads, the color is much more vibrant, and then on other portions, the color is a little bit more toned down. They're very, very metallic, and I like the etched detail that gives these beads a little bit more texture. Next up, we have this beautiful pink strand. These are 8mm Czech glass melon beads. The color is pink with silver speckles, so you can see why they're called that. The little silver speckles that are on the translucent light pink color kind of looks like a little bit of silver leaf pressed on there. And these are larger than most of the melon beads that I think I receive typically, so they are quite a bit more chunky. The melon beads, of course, being round, but then they have the indentations that are running up and down the sides of the bead there. That's a really cute strand. Next up, we have this 4mm strand. These are called resin miracle beads. The color is chartreuse with gold luster, and my camera is having a hard time adjusting to this color. It doesn't know what to do. And that's not only because it is seriously bright, but it's also got this hard to explain luster on it that I don't know if the camera quite picks up. We had gotten some of these in red, and I had mentioned that I thought they were pretty cool, and I wanted to see them in other colors. They kind of have this weird inner glow to them. Maybe it was a strand of white that we received in these as well. I can't remember, but I would love to see these in black and maybe some other metallic shades, gold and silver. They're pretty neat. Next up, I'm going to show you these two both together because they are the same except for the size. We have some 3mm Czech glass pearls and 6mm Czech glass pearls in what's called matte satin white. Another one of those strands is just kind of glowy, just a very subtle and different effect than a regular white glass pearl would have, but I'm really liking that matte satin on these too. And then our final strand in the box this month are these 1x2mm Chinese crystal rondelles in silver. Super sparkly due to the fact that they are faceted and they are tiny, so there's all different directions that the light is bouncing off of. Chinese crystal rondelles don't excite me too much because they are pretty cheap beads, let's be honest, so they don't add a whole lot of value, but I love the shimmering sparkle that these give, and I think they would look great as spacer beads or to add little pops of sparkle and something else you're working with. And you do get a nice long strand, so I appreciate that. All right, now we're going to get into our additional items. The first bag I have here to share with you contains 7x16mm Czech glass 2-hole crescents, and the color of these is called copper vitriol. There's 6 pieces in the bag, like you can see, and I have one flipped over on the other side. So one side is this bright, shiny, metallic copper, and then the other side is kind of clear with a beautiful pink and green and blue cast to it. The way these are curved, I almost want to try making this style into a ring, so stay tuned. I'll be sure to share if I do use these in that way, or in any way like I usually do. Next up, we have a couple of these Czech glass Ammonite 18mm beads. These are in opaque white with gold wash. I love the fact that they've included 2. I've mentioned before when they've included something like this and it's only 1, I'm a little disappointed because it just takes away the option of being able to use something like this as earrings, and then you almost feel obligated to have to go back and buy more just to give yourself some more options, but that's just me. These have a gorgeous matte gold inside, which really brings out the texture and the detail in these beads. They are the same on both sides, and that is where the hole is located, just running right through the center of the bead. I think these would look pretty special too if they were beaded around. I have lots of ideas, I just need more time in the day. All right, next up we have some daisy spacers. The color is antique copper and there's 10 pieces of these inside. And I won't take these out. Most of us are familiar with what daisy spacers look like. They look the same on both the front and the back and they are pretty thin. It would be nice to get a few more in the bag, but again, like I said, this box tends to give you a lot of sampler items that you can find on their website if you want more of them. I do like the fact that these are in antique copper because I know for me personally, I have a lot of basic silver ones, but I don't have any in copper. Next up we have this bag containing 6 by 12 millimeter Chinese drop beads. There's 4 pieces in a turquoise rainbow iris. Absolutely love that color. You can see the beautiful rainbow iris that's very sparkly coming off of these facets. Again, they're Chinese crystal, which I wish we weren't seeing as much of those popping up in the dollar bead box. And when I say things like that, it's only because I feel like we didn't used to see Chinese crystal popping up in the boxes, for example, like a year ago, and we've been seeing a little bit more of them. They're just a little bit more rough, like you can see barely around the holes, and they're just so inexpensive to go and purchase in large quantities rather than getting like 4 of them as an item in the dollar bead box. Next, we have a bag containing 2 magnesite coin beads in a turquoise color. There's 2 pieces in here. Glad to see that there's 2 pieces of these. So you can see that they look similar to turquoise. They have the brownish veins that are running through the beads. They are stone, being that they're magnesite, so they have that cold feel to them, and you can hear when you clink them together. And there's the hole running through the center of the bead. Next, we have a bag containing a 12 millimeter Chinese glass laser etched barrel. This is in the color Matte Peacock. And you can see what this looks like here. We have some designs etched here in the bead, and then the background is the matte peacock with that kind of rainbow of colors. And there is a look at what the hole looks like. So the hole is just a little bit larger than you typically see. And we have been seeing more of these types of things pop in the box. Not my particular cup of tea, but we're all different, and it's good to be different. Next up, this bag contains 2 Swarovski crystal cubes. There's 2 pieces in here. These are 6 millimeter. And on some of the facings, they are solid metallic silver, so bright and shiny. And then on the others, they are crystal clear, which makes these extremely reflective, absolutely stunning. And because they gave you 2, you could definitely use one of each of these, maybe in a pair of earrings. There's a look at the top of these 2. So one side again being the bright metallic silver and the other side being more clear. And you get that mirrored effect inside. Next, we have this bag containing some Czech glass hexagons in a 5 millimeter size. These are full coat copper, and there are 8 pieces in here. I think we had gotten some silver last month. These are like a thinly sliced spacer type bead with 6 sides and a very shiny, glossy copper coating. Next up, something else we've been seeing pop up a lot in the boxes lately. There are 2 Chinese glass laser etched rounds. These are a 10 millimeter size, and the color is peacock. And these would probably go well with the Chinese glass laser etched barrel that we saw earlier. You can see the similar colors and the way that you have the white popping through in between the metallic rainbow of colors. Just 2 beads here, and it seems like we've been seeing a lot of various sizes and variations on this type of bead. Here's something else we've been seeing pop up are these Chinese star-cut crystals. These are in a 5 by 7 millimeter, and the color is full coat silver. There are 6 pieces in here, so here's the shape of them. They kind of come to a point on either side, very shiny with all those facets. So an interesting shape, just something that I wish that we had gotten more quantity of for something like this, because I would think that if I were to go on their site and purchase more of these, I would want an entire strand for $1, not just 6 pieces. But that's just me personally. Alright, next we have a bag containing 2 Pewter Bails. These are 7 by 6 millimeter. Something very handy. I actually used the ones that I had, so I'm happy to see a couple more roll in. These are great for many different things, but also stretch bracelets to hide the knot. They have a nice large hole on them, and then you can attach a charm or something off of the little loop. So that's one way that I find I use these most often. You can see the little details that are etched in that silver tone. And I'm glad we got 2 of these and not just 1. And then our final bag contains Pewter Flowers. These are in 9 millimeter, and they are in a silver plated metal. There are 4 pieces in that bag, and here's a closer look at them. They are quite thick, and I'll be sure to use these up. It's always handy to have different shapes and styles of spacers and some basic metallic finishes. So that is everything for the dollar bead box and bag for the month of November 2019. It's always a fun surprise to see what they've included because it is such a sampler. There's no specific monthly theme, so you just never know what you're going to get, besides the fact that you know that you're going to be getting a mix of strands and samplers of additional items. I'm always happy to see specialty Czech glass shapes come in the dollar bead box and 2-hole beads, and while some of these items in the additional items section were some misses for me, I did appreciate these very substantial Ammonites and also the Czech glass 2-hole crescent beads, and some of these findings will come in handy also. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've been a subscriber of theirs or if you are scheduled to receive this particular box, if you have a favorite item that you saw today, or anything else that you'd like to say. Don't forget I have over a year's worth of these unboxings and many unboxing playlists, so you can check those out to determine if these boxes are right for you and your beading style and your budget. I'm not here to sell you a box, I'm just here to give you a close-up look to help you decide what really speaks to you and also share in the fun of the unboxings. So thank you so much for being with me again for another unboxing. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. You can check out the information section below this video for links to all my social media handles, recommended products, and my shop and blog at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.